The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690, The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
Good afternoon, everybody, in this rainy Saturday afternoon, and welcome to the Generations Radio Show. For those of you that are still tuned in to AM 690, The Answer, and may have heard the Baby Boomer Show with Frank B. Shaner, my hat goes out to Robert Casimiro there. What a great treasure, as my friend just texted me. What a great show. He's just Mr. Hawaii, Mr. Hula, and I was talking to Kim, our engineer, such a fantastic voice as well. So thank you, Robert, if you're still around listening to your radio as you're leaving us. But thank you very much, and thanks to Frank for our introduction there. I am Percy Ihara, your host of the Generations Radio Show, and also, as I said, I'm the publisher of Generations Magazine, Hawaii's only print resource magazine around the islands that really caters to our seniors and their families. And as a resource magazine, what we do is try to bring information to the public and our seniors and our families around the islands. And so what we have today in our radio show, we'll bring in our speakers and our writers from the magazine. And today we have two of our finest here, Mr. Michael Yee, our financial advisor specialist. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Percy.
One of the foremost experts on financial planning, let alone financing long-term care. And then we have Mr. Scott Spallina, the Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney from the City and County of Honolulu, right?
That's correct.
I always get you mixed up with the federal side.
No. I'm City and County, just the island of Oahu.
Well, thank you, Scott, for coming by. And what you were talking to me earlier that you were here because you were actually starting to tape some shows.
That's correct. We're trying to get the word out about elder abuse, and we figure that education is one of the keys. That's why we write for your magazine, Generations Magazine, every issue. Also, we're going to be appearing on Alelo and some other radio shows as well.
Right. And for those of you who can tune in, I believe it's 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday to Friday on Olelo's channel, I'm not sure, 53, I believe, or 54. Olelo has the Kupuna Cup Power. And I know Senator Brickwood Galateria has a show and every morning.
That's correct.
And so I know, Scott, you're going to be a guest on there. But today's show, we're going to focus, ladies and gentlemen, and you baby boomers there, about financial abuse. And Scott, as being a deputy prosecuting attorney, you're the guy that really goes after all these criminals and all these guys that, preying on our seniors in Hawaii, yeah?
That's correct. When Keith Kaneshiro expanded our unit, he wanted to focus on the financial crimes affecting the elderly. And so he gave us the resources to put it as a priority in our office to go after these criminals that focus all their efforts, all their energy, all their resources on targeting seniors in Oahu.
And so is there a lot of cases going on? You've been there for how many years? 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
Let's see. I have been at the office for 19 years, wow. And since 2008, we created the unit. And actually, you ask if there's a lot. Probably in the last 4 months or so, we've seen this tremendous spike in scams affecting the elderly. Every day now, I'm getting multiple calls from families and from victims saying, is this real? Is this a crime? This is happening to me. This is happening to my brother, my sister, whomever. And we just can't we're trying to keep up with it. But realistically, though, there's so many crimes that are out there that are not even being reported to us.
So when you say crimes against the elderly, they pass a law. Is it 60 and above, 62 and above?
60, yes. For our purposes, it's 60 and above. And the reason we chose 60 as the senior under the law is that if you commit a crime against someone 60 years and over, it's mandatory prison.
Mandatory prison on any kind of crime?
No, that's a good question. Right now, currently, it's a physical abuse. So if you beat up somebody and let's say break their bone or whatever like that, it's mandatory prison. Right now, in the House or the Senate, I forgot if it passed over or whatever like that. There's been a lot of things going on this week. But right now, we're trying to pass a law to where if you financially commit a crime against a senior 60 and over, then you will be going to prison. So we're trying to broaden the protection of seniors.
So this bill is going to. So hopefully this bill, hopefully it does go through.
Yes.
So, because I've seen in the past where people get probation all day long.
Exactly. And that's one of the things is that what people don't realize, and I'm sure the Mike's going to be able to back me up on this, is that when you financially abuse somebody, you're taking away decades of what it took for them to build up that wealth. I mean, we're talking about literally hundreds of thousands of dollars being taken from somebody. And here they are now in their 60s, 70s, and they have to start all over again when all that money is gone. So what we're going to try to do today is hopefully work on preventing these crimes from happening in the future.
Absolutely. So, Michael, you've been a financial advisor for almost 30 years?
30 years.
30 years now, and I've known you for over 20 of these, and we've had this discussion many, many a times. And I was actually early before we started the show. Do a lot of people tell you what happens to them, or are they complaining to you about crimes, or they don't want to talk about it, or because I know that you must have some clients that have been financially abused in some form or scammed in some form, yeah?
Yeah. Now, that doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it's a phone call. It's a phone call from another family member who is reporting that something is happening. And that's when we put all the alert signs up and stuff like that. But we have procedures inside to tell us not to recognize when patterns of spending out of the ordinary. When we see money movement, large money movement, or we see small money movement regularly, and then that's not the pattern of the client, because I know the clients, I know every single one of them. So when I see when I see something financial, if I see something financial outside of what's supposed to happen, that's when we come in. But it's always we get the heads up from a family member, and it's kind of neat that Scott was just talking about this right now, because one of the ones in recent times involve unwanted family members coming to the house, because my clients both were under long-term care. They're in the house. And they just walking away with stuff. I get the phone call.
Really? What do you mean by walking away for stuff?
That somehow these people find out that my client is under care. And the next thing you know, they show up out of the woodwork.
Family members, cousins, nieces, nephews.
Yeah, from some places where we say that the tough guys live, right? I'm not going to say on the radio where, but you can imagine where. If I told you, you say, yeah, I can see that.
but here's the thing, though, is that it can happen anywhere, though. And that's one thing we need to realize, is that we're seeing crime happen from the tough areas to the rich areas to anywhere. And you bring up a good point, is that family needs to stay involved with our kapuna. They need to communicate every day with their parents, their grandparents, figure out what's going on with their life, because that's the only way you can see these early warning signs happening.
Yeah, this stuff can happen fast.
And it's devastating when it does.
I had the guy shows up from the outer islands. And
family member.
Yeah. And he convinced the father, who I guess he's very strong-willed. Yeah, he convinced the father to do a power of attorney. So he goes down to the bank with the father, and next thing you know, that bank account is emptied.
Well, yeah. You know my thoughts about power of attorney. I've told you many, many times. and I call power of attorneys license to steal, because it's a legal paper where you can create just so much havoc in someone's life by giving it to somebody.
Yeah, and the funniest part about that story, he shows up at the attorney's office after, because he can't get into the trust accounts. And he's trying to get, so the attorney tells him to leave. Right? He tells him to leave. Then I get a phone call. The attorney turns around and calls me out. Mike, he's coming to your office. You need to leave the office now.
He's the son of one of your clients.
Huh? Yeah.
The son of one of your clients.
It just happened like that. I mean, when stuff like that, it happens quickly, you know.
Yeah, we're going to need to cover that more in depth, because this is in these scams, Scott. We want to cover more in depth and give our listeners out there some examples, because all these shows are taped. All these shows will be archived on our Generations Magazine website, which is generations808.com. But we want to get more in detail in a little bit, but we want to make sure that people understand. If they don't listen, they can't catch the whole thing today, they can go our Generations 808 website and click on the Generations Radio tab. We're going to post all our past shows. And the same thing like Frank B. Shaner's radio show, thebabyboomershow.com. People can go to that show and listen live from 4 to 5 on Saturdays, or they can press on the archive button and they can listen to all the past shows, because our first show we had with Edgy Lee, boy, she told some great stories. And, of course, Yvonne Elliman always has some great stories to talk about, But we're going to be back very, very shortly, and we're going to have more detail on the scams. And Michael Yee, our financial advisor, will talk about what families can do to prevent these situations with our siblings, our family members, on the abuse of taking money from our parents. Anyway, we'll be right back.
We will be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer. Hello, Frankie B here, your lovely and charming host for the Baby Boomer Show every Saturday from 4 until 5. Be there, or I'll come to your house and rearrange your furniture. Join me, will you? Saturday from 4 until 5 right here on AM 690 The Answer. Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy E. Hauer from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about financial abuse, and we're here with Michael Yee, a certified financial planner from Ameriprise Financial, and also Mr. Scott Spallina, the Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney from the City and County of Honolulu. If you have a question or a comment, or you have a situation that you want to talk to us about, you can give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. But so, Scott, you see a lot of these situations. Daily. You get calls every day.
Unfortunately,
you get calls from HPD. You get calls from
APS, DCCA, the family members, the victims. Everybody is calling me all the time.
And so, what is there? You talk about the gypsy scam and the green dot scam.
Yeah, the current scam that's killing us right now, or I should say the seniors in Hawaii, is what we call advanced fee frauds. It sounds fancy, but all it is basically, and I've written about this in your magazine, is you get a letter, you get a phone call, you get an email saying, congratulations, you've been selected to take part in this lottery. You've won this lottery. You've won $100,000, $2 million, $20 million, $100 million. However, in order to collect that money, you have to pay an advanced fee. It might start off with just like $100, and then so you say, okay, $100, and then you pay it, then you get another letter saying, oh, you know what, we forgot, there's another fee you have to pay, $200. And then they sucker you in, one fee after the other fee after the other fee. And we've had people literally go to the post office, wire their money away. Like, we had this one woman, she got this letter, it started out small, at the end she went to the post office 70 times. And
70 is 70?
70. And when speaking to her, she's saying it's like playing the slot machine, where you get like the cherry bar, and you think, ooh, almost one more like payment, one more swing of the slot machine, and then another 500, because they've invested in it. So they're thinking, okay, this is the last payment there. She lost over $160,000. The thing that stopped her was that she depleted her husband's savings account.
She ran out of money.
And she depleted her daughter's trust fund. She had a disabled daughter. Gosh. And it is funny that the other day I went to a pawn shop, and once the pawn shop owner found out who I was, he said, you know what? We get seniors coming in all the time, selling us their jewelry, selling us their precious things. And we know that they're doing it because of these lottery systems. And by the time they come to the pawn shop, they've gone through their savings, checking, they've borrowed money from family and friends, and now they're selling their precious items here. And so it's affecting everybody.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go back to that one because we want to talk about how they get the money to the perpetrators. But so, Michael, as a financial advisor, you must have clients coming to you asking you to take money out here or to help my son out, or children coming to say, how can we take the money out, or I need money. How do you combat that, and what kind of situation can you help your clients avoid this situation?
The first thing I always try to do, and it's a good policy that I do it, and Stephen Yim, the lawyer I work with, often does, is always try to get to know the whole family. Try to have at least a meeting at some point in the relationship where you get to meet everybody. So you get to know everybody first. And then the second thing is when family members start coming in and saying that they want to do something that's out of the ordinary, that's a red flag. And then, at that point, I tell them, talking to the wrong guy, because all of the parents' accounts are owned in trust. You're not the trustee.
Well, with regard to the power of attorney, I know a lot of times, they want to have to take the power of attorney, and then they're trying to take money out of their accounts. But I know for a lot of the estate planning attorneys, elder law attorneys I worked with, they create a revocable trust, and they put all their assets in the trust. Is that correct?
Right.
So not only their real estate or property, but they have to put their financial assets like their annuity or their bank accounts and put the trust on top of the bank account?
Yeah, and usually the only thing the attorney will tell them that not to have in the trust is the checking account. Okay, so everything else is very difficult. So it's usually transfers from the trust account into the checking account where the abuse starts to happen. It's the money so it's the ability for somebody to influence somebody to take money out of the trust and put it in the checking account. Mm-hmm. And in the business I'm in is less probable that happens, because what happens is every 6 months I'm keeping track. I know when money goes out, all of that stuff. I know what the reason is and all that stuff. So very difficult for them suddenly to transfer money in an account. Say, hey, Mike, I need some money for XYZ. And then it sounds kind of fishy to me.
And you bring up a good point, and that's one thing actually we tell bank tellers the same thing, is that if a senior's spending habits change dramatically, or just change, because seniors especially are creatures of habit. We all are to a certain extent, but seniors, they develop this years and years of doing certain things a certain way, a certain pattern of spending, saving, whatever like that. And then and tellers know this. Bank tellers are phenomenal for frontline defense to abuse, and we tell them, they know this. It's like, that's interesting that Mrs. Yamasaki is now withdrawing $2,000. She never goes there, or she never uses the ATM machine. She always comes to the teller personally. And so it's those changes, those irregularities in their spending, which is one of the warning signs that we tell everybody about.
But I believe there's a law that all the financial institutions, including credit unions, are supposed to report unusual activity like that.
That you're absolutely right. If it's suspected elder abuse, now they are mandated to report it not only to APS but to HPD as well.
So I think those of you listening out there, that I think people need to realize, like Michael, you said, I think it's very important to the family to come around and meet their financial advisor, meet their attorney, making sure everybody understands who has a power of attorney, who may be the successor trustee in the event dad or mom becomes incapacitated. And really, how do we control the money, or who can control the money?
And we put everybody on the same page, because one of the things you got to help people to deal with, both the family and the children, is to recognize that as you get older, you're going to slow down. So slowing down means you're going to be independent and enjoying your life and everything, able to do things on your own. And then at some point, either suddenly or gradually, you're going to go to a place called diminished capacity.
Yeah.
And when it's mental diminished capacity, if they know ahead of time, I'm going to head there. When we start seeing a couple of things happen that we're into the diminished capacity area, then I'm educating the family. Now you got to become more involved. And if you're families that are close, that are involved, less likely to get attacked. Then it's always the person that's vulnerable by themselves that becomes the victim.
Agreed.
Well, that's the hard part when you have family members that maybe not here or not living here, or the oldest Scott, you're the oldest son and you're living in Colorado and you come back home, I'm the oldest son, I'll take care of everything, but you may not know what's going on.
Well, and that's the thing, is that you have to deal with realities, like you said. And let me tell you, being a caregiver is a full-time job. Actually, it's not even a job, it's a lifestyle. and when a sibling says, you know what, I'll take care of mom and dad, the other children say, thank God I don't have to do it. And they end up saying, okay, you take care of everything. We trust you. We trust you. We trust you. And then what happens is that then you have this cycle of isolation to where the caregiving sibling has almost complete control over everything. And unfortunately, that's a recipe for disaster when it comes to abuse, because then that caregiving sibling might say, oh, Mom, sign this piece of paper. Sign this, sign this, sign this, without the knowledge of the other siblings. So that's why what Mike is saying is very, very important, in that all family members have to be on the same page.
Yeah, and then what we do is actually it's a responsibility. The one that's helping or becomes, say they become a successor trustee, in front of all the family, the siblings, we say, annually you have to give an accounting. You have to disclose you understand what this role is about. Yeah, brings up an interesting story. I had a client for when I first got her, she was retired already, and her husband was retired, and he died shortly after I got him. So she was single with no children, and I took her all the way into her 90s.
Wow.
So imagine that. I had her for like 25 years, and throughout the years, all these friendly family members would come one after another saying, Auntie, I got to help you out. So they show up, help. And then pretty soon you'll see something is not right. And she'll tell me, something's not right. I don't feel like I know what this person's doing. And I say, we have to have a meeting with your lawyer.
Yeah.
So we'd have a meeting with the lawyer. And next thing you know, that guy's gone.
Good. I mean, and that's one thing that we've always encouraged. That's why I go on a lot of these shows dealing with financial planning, is because you need to prepare in order to prevent. And you need to have something set up in place, because by the time oftentimes it's discovered that the damage has been done so much. And that's why I encourage to do financial planning. I encourage to do estate planning, get the wills and trust all set up, because it makes you less vulnerable.
Yeah. So, Scott, earlier you were talking about the scams where the lady gave out 70 times, 70 times, give this, somebody probably from a foreign country, give them money and give them money, you know, where they're going to win $2 million, but they need to deposit $100 or $300. And I brought this case of a friend of mine, parents that they got taken advantage of, and the guy was very smooth, and it sounded to me very legitimate. This family, this lady was very, very astute, very knowledgeable of scams. However, she got scammed, and I was telling you that there's a new way to forward money, because
that's correct.
All these people live in a foreign country. We're not going to mail them a check, right?
Exactly. And it used to be, one of the warning signs would be if you go to a bank or go to 7-Eleven or Walmart and you wire money someplace.
Right. So they wire it through Western
Union or any of these MoneyGrams or any of these wiring places like that. And we've spent so much time educating these wiring places as, hey, if they're wiring out of country, notify the police or warn the people that this might not be legitimate. So now what criminals are doing is there's a thing called a green dot card. What it is you can go down to Walgreens and you pick up this charge card. And you can go there, pick up this charge card and say, I want to put $100 on this card or $1,000 on this card.
So they have to go to the cashier at Walmart or wherever they got.
Exactly. Load it up with any amount of money.
So how do they load it up? Do they put out of a credit card onto that money?
No. I mean, it's as similar
they
to...
They bring cash to that thing?
They can either bring cash or use your credit card to load up the gift card. I mean, think of it as a gift card. Yeah, think of it as a gift card there. But this is like a prepaid Visa card.
Right.
But you're setting the amount you're prepaying in it. So that's the whole thing. And then there's a number on the back of these green dot cards. All you have to do then is just telephone or send an email saying this is the number on the back of this card.
Okay.
And then the criminal is able to go online and withdraw all the money from that account.
Now, they do have a website. I've been to that website. It's called, what's called green.card.com or something.
Yeah,
like that,
or
right?
Green Pack Card or Green Dot. Yes.
I've been to that website because this friend of ours loaded up, I think it was a couple $100, and I think they're going to win $50,000.
And the thing is, it's a legitimate card. It has legitimate uses, but criminals find legitimate devices and they corrupt them.
And so, this family friend of ours, what happened was she went down there, put in a couple $100, and then the guy called right away, took the money out of the car, and said, "Okay, you're going to win more money, but you have to put like $2,000."
Exactly, they hook
made
you
her
in.
Stop.
Yeah.
And that's when she called her daughter, I believe, and it stopped. But it's amazing. That is a legitimate card, but. I guess because I have to give credit to Western Union. On the back of the Western Union at Walmart, there is on the back of the form when you want to wire money, it says certain countries not
exactly.
And you should be careful of these countries.
And these are again all responsible, legitimate businesses, but criminals can use this for their own means.
So how do we prevent that?
Again, educate. That's why I'm here. Education.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah, we need to talk more about that, Michael. We want to talk about how to talk to the family members about financial abuse.
And I got a question for Michael when we get back here. I'm going to quiz
If you have
him.
a question about financial abuse, give us a call 296-5467. We'll be right back.
We will be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio.
Everyone knows that traffic is a serious problem. But did you know that Hawaii has become one of the most dangerous places in the country to be a pedestrian? Last year alone, 36 people lost their lives while walking on our roadways, and more than a third of those were struck in crosswalks. Hawaii has laws to protect pedestrians in crosswalks, but it's up to everyone who uses our streets, drivers and pedestrians, to understand our shared responsibility for public safety. For drivers, that means observing the speed limit and respecting people's right to cross the street. For pedestrians, it means paying attention to traffic signals and understanding that the right-of-way alone does not guarantee a safe crossing. The need for safer streets has never been greater, especially for our most vulnerable citizens, children, the elderly, and people with disabilities. This message is brought to you by AARP Hawaii, making our community safer for everyone, one step at a time.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy E. Howard from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690, The Answer.
And welcome back, everybody. We're here with Mr. Scott Spallina, our little deputy prosecutor going after all these abuse against seniors 60 and above. And hopefully we do pass that law because you said prison term guaranteed for any physical abuse.
That's right.
But there's a bill in the legislature, by the way, that I think you testified for. It was 16 above was financial abuse.
Exactly.
So I know I read the paper every day, and I got to give Star Bulletin some credit for it, always having stories about that. But the story last year was a lady that did get prison term.
Yes.
And refresh our memories about that.
Susan Chen, and basically she was a neighbor of this older woman and became not only a friend of hers but a caregiver, and she used what we call a power of attorney, which we talked about earlier, and with that simple document she's able to sell her neighbor's house out from under her. The bank did a very good job in notifying the police, and we couldn't stop the sale of the house. It had been power ready. But we were able to convict her of the crime. She was sentenced a little while ago to 10 years jail. As to whether or not she's going to serve all that 10 years, that's up for the paroling board to handle. And we tried to get as much money back to the victim as possible in that case.
Did she get any money back at all?
She got like several $100,000, but the house was sold for over $600,000.
And did this lady have any family members that I mean, the neighbor. She was a neighbor that.
Yeah, she was a neighbor, and that's again going back to what we were talking about earlier with Mike, is that it's important that the family stay in contact with their mom, their dad, and I think that if they did, maybe in this case, who knows, they could have said like, "Oh, I noticed that so-and-so is coming over to the house a lot, or so-and-so is spending a lot of time here. So-and-so is basically filling this void that a lot of seniors have, because, again, we're all social creatures, and we all need human interaction, and that's why you have seniors saying, yeah, oh, you can come into my house, strangers, selling vacuums, because I want your companionship. Or a caregiver that comes in once a week, can you stay a little bit longer? I'm willing to pay you to stay a little bit longer because I am lonely and I need that interaction with other people.
And we're seeing a lot more professionals being
and that's one thing that drives me crazy, and allow me to get on my soapbox a little bit here, is that elder abuse is so underreported, and one of the main reasons why it's so underreported is because people are embarrassed that they got scammed. They're embarrassed that they did not see it coming. And I try to tell people this is like when you go see a magic show, and you see these elaborate tricks on stage and everything, and you leave and you had a good time and everything. Are you embarrassed that you couldn't figure out how the trick was done? No, because you know that the magician has spent years.
They're good.
They're good. They spent all their money on the props. They spent all this time and effort working on these illusions and everything like that. The criminals that commit these crimes are just like these magicians. They are good. They know what works. They have the technology. They have the lines down good and everything like that. You should not feel embarrassed. You should realize that professionals, people with a lot of letters behind their name, like Esquire, JD, Judge, Doctor, all that stuff, lawyer and stuff like that, they have been conned themselves. That's how good
I've seen a professor. I've seen a retired principal be scammed. A friend of mine told me about a retired principal. They got scammed for like $2,500.
That's right.
You know?
And it just goes back to, you should not feel embarrassed, because these are I call them professional criminal magicians.
Yeah. We need to have you out in the public more, Scott. In fact, for those of you that do know Scott or have heard Scott speak, Scott does speak out around town quite a bit. Get on his soapbox, and you can actually have him talk to your group. I'll have to bring you to our Kailua group, the St. John Vianney Senior Club over there is really good. So, Michael, when people use a power of attorney, can they use a power of attorney for anything to pull money out of their financial accounts, their annuity, or cash in their life insurance policies?
They can go after anything that is owned in the person's individual name.
Name.
Yeah. Now,
okay.
here's the thing. This is why banks don't like power of attorneys. So many banks won't even accept a power of attorney.
Right.
Other institutions says this power of attorney has to be within so much time.
Right.
But the true...
In other words, so power of attorney that was done 5 years ago, they probably say no way.
We would say no way.
Okay.
And then probably 100%, if not 99% of the bank's going to say no.
Because I know for FHA loans, if they're using a power of attorney, it's got to be within a couple of years. I know the escrow companies don't like to see anything over 2 years, and actually they don't have to take any power of attorney over 2 years.
Yeah.
Because we don't know which is a more valid one, 5 years or 2 years ago, right?
Even then, it's a problem because, like I said, the couple examples I gave you, somebody's influencing somebody. That power of attorney is brand new when it walks in. Mm-hmm. So for me, the best protection is telling people to do estate planning. Explain that estate planning is more than probate and taxes.
Oh, absolutely.
It's also protection while you're alive. When you get to the point when you're not independent, you become influenceable. When you hit diminished capacity, when the first time you hit it, you're not going to know it. In the beginning, you go through this phase called denial.
Right.
Okay. Speaking of protection, now this is a question I ask every financial planner. Okay, and so here's the question here. This is a question that's asked to me all the time, especially when I go to these seniors fairs. Number one question is, I get usually an adult child coming to me saying, Scott, how can I stop my mom and dad or my grandma and grandpa from giving away all their money? They give it to, let's say, the neighbor. They give it to the Canadian Lottery. They give it to the caregiver that comes to the house. They give it to the church. They give it to the charities. They are bankrupting themselves because they're like an easy mark, easy touch, whatever like that. And now these parents are not incompetent, okay? They're not suffering from dementia. They're not suffering from Alzheimer's, anything like that. They're cognitively aware, yet they're giving all their money away. So what would you tell if an adult child came to you, Mike, and said, how do I stop this from happening?
I would say the first thing, prevention is better, right?
Yes.
So if anything, there's a reason why we say everybody should do retirement planning. Everybody should have a relationship with a trusted professional, and that trusted professional is going to be alongside and visit regularly, just like you visit your dentist.
But most people actually don't have a financial advisor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. Is there a percentage that we know of?
Yeah, there's one stat that I have right here. I just happened to look down at it. In 2010, they did a survey research. 57% of pre-retirees have not created a concrete retirement plan.
So more than half don't have a plan at all.
Don't have a plan. And my guess is the number is bigger.
I'd say the number's bigger. And this actually goes back to what you guys had talked about in an earlier show, in that especially baby boomers and people older, you don't want to think about the negative part about growing old. You don't want to think that, you know what, someday I might not be able to handle X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And it's almost like when you don't go to a doctor for a long time, and you're kind of dreading going to that doctor because you know he's going to say, "Okay, you're fat, you you have cavities, or you don't have this." And you're dreading that, and that's the feeling that I get when you go to a financial planner and you're thinking like, "Okay, I know I'm a little bit messed up in my financial household and stuff like that. I'm afraid to go to that financial planner because he's going to tell me how really messed up I am." It's the same as going to the doctor, though. You have to do it. You may not like the news that you get, but at least you'll be educated and then you can progress. And I think you need to just get over that first thing, just walk in the door already.
Yeah, the first step, like the question you're asking me is, parents, when they hear it from their siblings, seem to think that they're telling them what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So when it's the doctor saying, you a little bit, it's not healthy and here's why and all of that stuff, that's outside the norm, all of that, they'll listen to the doctor. My wife is a nurse. My wife can tell my mother-in-law something, and she's perfectly qualified to tell her that, but she's not going to listen to my wife. She's going to listen to her doctor.
Yes.
And that's why the purpose of having an outside professional and to do it as soon as possible, find someone that's credible, trustworthy, competent, right, as soon as you can, and so that you can have that conversation that you couldn't have by yourself. No. I mean, same thing with me. I would say all of us are human beings. I don't have the same influence on my parents that I have on somebody else's parents.
I'm going to throw an off the wall question. Yeah. You guys watch many movies?
Yes.
Did you watch the Oscars?
No.
Have you heard the movie Nebraska?
Someone's mentioned that to me this week, actually, and said, "Hey, you should talk. You should actually watch this thing there."
I got Netflix, and I tell everybody go on Netflix, and I heard about it. And Bruce Dern is that old sprightly guy.
Is it on Netflix right now?
It's on Netflix right now. I watched it last week, but it's I believe one of the ladies, if not his wife, got nominated for an Oscar. I think it's just supporting role, and she had a couple great parts in there, but. It's a movie about Bruce Dern, the old actor from back in the day. He must be about in his 70s now. And it starts off the movie him walking down the highway. He lives in Montana, and it shows about he's going to Nebraska because he won $1 million. And he's got a official letter that shows you have to go to Nebraska to pick up the $1 million. So his car broke down. So his son was on the highway, picks him up on the highway, said, "Dad, you can't do this. You cannot do this." He goes, "I'm going to go no matter what." So his son broke down and said, "Okay, I'll take you." And the story is about them driving to Nebraska, and the relationship with the son is probably like about my age, around 50 or maybe late 40s, and Bruce Dern's in his 70s, and they're talking in the car and the relationship builds, and it's very interesting. And he's going to win $1 million, and he's
and that movie and what Mike just said brings something that I want to reiterate to people is that your parents, your grandparents, sometimes are more apt to trust strangers with promises than they are their own family members.
Yeah.
And that's why these victims, actually I call them the collateral damage, it's the family of the victims. They get so frustrated because they see their mom or dad believing these strangers are asking for money, and they don't believe themselves. And that's the saddest part about elder abuse to me.
We'll take one last break, but Scott, that's so true. But if you guys get a chance, if you want to show your parents that you really care, just put that movie on. Get it on Netflix or whatever. Rent it, buy it. It's a great little movie, but it's called Nebraska. We'll be right back after this.
We will be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Everyone knows that traffic is a serious problem. But did you know that Hawaii has become one of the most dangerous places in the country to be a pedestrian? Last year alone, 36 people lost their lives while walking on our roadways, and more than a third of those were struck in crosswalks. Hawaii has laws to protect pedestrians in crosswalks, but it's up to everyone who uses our streets, drivers and pedestrians, to understand our shared responsibility for public safety. For drivers, that means observing the speed limit and respecting people's right to cross the street. For pedestrians, it means paying attention to traffic signals and understanding that the right-of-way alone does not guarantee a safe crossing. The need for safer streets has never been greater, especially for our most vulnerable citizens, children, the elderly, and people with disabilities. This message is brought to you by AARP Hawaii, making our community safer for everyone, one step at a time.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So, join Percy E. Howard from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer.
Hands can do incredible things. This is the sound of two hands helping to save a life. It's called hands-only CPR, and it's recommended by the American Heart Association. If an adult suddenly collapses, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of their chest until help arrives. Hands can do incredible things, but nothing compares to using them to help save a life. For more information on this latest method of CPR, visit handsonlycpr.org today. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Hello, Frankie B here, your lovely and charming host for the Baby Boomer Show every Saturday from 4 until 5. Be there, or I'll come to your house and rearrange your furniture. Join me, will you? Saturday from 4 until 5, right here on AM 690, The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
Welcome back. We're here at this, at least the sun's coming out now here. It's Saturday afternoon. And we're here with Scott Spallina from the Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, and Michael Yee, a Certified Financial Planner with Ameriprise Financial. And thank you guys for coming up today. And I got to thank Mr. Robert Casimiro, who's on the Baby Boomer Show. As you guys know, Frank does his show from 4 to 5, and the Generations Radio shows from 5 to 6 in the afternoon. So we take our afternoons to be able to provide all this information to you. And if you haven't seen this month's issue, this February-March issue, go to generations808.com, and you will see there Mr. Frank B. Shaner on the cover. And we do have to thank Siri, the manager, owner of Asagio's Ala Moana, for having all of Frank's artwork, but also the cover shop. The cover of this issue was probably to me, the most beautiful cover we've had ever. with the colors and the artwork in the background. I did want to mention that if you haven't get a chance to pick it up, you can pick it all around town. Go to our website, generation808.com, and click on the magazine, and you'll look at I believe it's page 9, has all the distribution points. But most of the long Safeways in towns on Oahu, if you're on the outer neighbor islands, the Office on Aging will have it. We have racks downtown now, Bishop, Merchant, and King Street. Magazine racks for generations. But I did want to thank Frank for being on our cover. And Frank, if you're listening, we're hopefully going to have Brickwood Galataria on the cover down the road. I saw him yesterday, and he loved Frank's cover story. But guys, we're almost out of here. But Scott, thank you for coming, and thank you for writing for the magazine. Now, for guys, if you have any stories of elder abuse, family members, or you hearing anything, if your mom's being scammed at this time, or your dad, give Scott a call at his office. And Scott, how do people get a hold of you?
They can reach me 2 ways. One is my number, which is I have to make sure I don't give my cell number. 547. Wait, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh!
It's in here. 768-7536.
He doesn't call himself. That's why
I don't call.
After hours, call me. I'll give you Scott's phone number, cell number,
or just email me at elderabuse, all one word, at honolulu.gov.
Okay, that phone number again, Scott, I'll repeat it for you.
Thank you.
768-7536. And Scott is available at all times to speak at your church group, your retirement club, your senior center. Talk to the families. But Scott, thank you. You've done so much in Hawaii. You've done so much to help abuse, but it's still going on. It's still growing.
That's the crazy part here, in that I've calculated, and I've done over 200 presentations now in the past several years. Wow. And there's still so many people that don't know about it, or don't talk about it. Elder abuse is, again, one of those crimes that we just don't talk about. Everybody talks about domestic violence, but just remember, 20 years ago, no one talked about domestic violence.
That's true, yeah.
And with elder abuse, and you know this, and Michael knows this as well, is that we're only hearing a fraction, just a mere fraction of the cases going on out there. It's like being on the top of the Titanic, or the front of the Titanic, and I'm like seeing this iceberg of abuse approaching us, and we're not ready for it. We are not ready for it, because it's draining a lot of the kapunas. It's going to be affecting every aspect of everybody's life, from financial planning to caregiving to just a lot of things in growing old, because it's a huge drain on our assets, and it's a huge drain mentally, physically, financially, and it's just scary. That's why I'm here today, just to, again, get on my soapbox and say, look out, because it's coming.
Well, you're going to have to work with your prosecuting attorney, Keith Kaneshiro, to strengthen these laws against.
And that's one thing I feel very, very lucky, because the day that Keith got hired back in 2010, he says, "Scott, I'm expanding your unit," and that's right. What he did. He tripled the number of attorneys we had. He gave us all the resources, so I cannot say anything bad about Keith's commitment to fighting elder abuse.
He was on our cover with a year and a half ago, and he mentioned it to me. And I give you a lot of kudos, you and Keith Kaneshiro, to help our seniors. But we need to do more, and I know we'll do more. We have to get APS, Adult Protective Services, here as well.
Yes, they're doing a tremendous job, but we just need to coordinate with APS more, HPD more, and there's a lot of great agencies out there. A lot of them actually mentioned in your magazine, right, that we just need to do further coordination with. And I know that actually that's something you want to do as well.
Yeah, we do a conference every year on aging in place, and we'll have to have you come and speak. But and I know, was it Lieutenant John McCarthy?
Yes.
At HPD, he handles a lot of that. What's that? Only white collar? Or
he's the head of the Financial Crimes Unit, and he's a genius. He has been nationally recognized as one of the top investigators, detectives, handling financial crimes involving the elderly. And that's why I have my utmost respect and admiration for the guys at HPD.
Well, we're definitely going to have to work on some kind of a financial abuse big workshop around the islands, and we like our aging in place workshop. And by the way, a couple of people have emailed me and called me that every year we do our aging in place workshop with Kirk Matthews over KHON Elderhood Project. And this year, mark your calendars, it'll be August 23rd. It's a Saturday at the Alamon Hotel. So mark it on calendar. We'll be mentioning it more often in the magazine as well. Michael, as a financial advisor of 30 years, you must have, not seen it all, but you've definitely seen a financial abuse. But you're in the front lines of dealing with families. I know you do a great job of consultation with the families as well.
Yeah. So financial planning is all about being prepared. Same like all of us on the islands, I think we're all well educated how to be prepared for a hurricane. Mm-hmm. We're so well trained that because of so much communication that when the sirens go off, everybody knows what to do.
Yep.
And it's not the same as Scott mentioned with financial planning, with elder abuse and so on. As much as we write, we speak, we do all this stuff, I can talk in front of 100 people, but we got 277,000 seniors out there.
Wow.
Most of them we're not going to ever meet.
Right.
Never, ever going to get the message to. We got 1 million plus people here, right?
1.4 counting.
Right. So to get that message out, we got to keep pounding the we got to become more effective at getting people educated. Because I think when people are prepared for life, they live life by choice rather than chance. And the risk of abuse is diminished because families come together and prevention and it's not a perfect world. Stuff will happen. If a criminal really wants to do something, they are. And our job is to limit their effectiveness.
Very good. Family member or not.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of abuse is a family member. Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
And it's growing. Michael, your phone number, and how can people give you a call if they want to hear you speak again? Because I know you do speaking engagements as well. I know you're a bit of a busy schedule, but what's the number they can reach you at again?
You can reach me at 952-1240. And or my email is michael.w.ye@ampf.com.
But they can just Google you, like Scott Spallina.
You Google me. Yeah. There's 5 Michael Yees. I'm not the engineer. I'm not the doctor. It's the one with the Ameriprise symbol.
That's to me. I mean, I do that all the time. Yeah. I mean, not to promote Google so much, but it's just so easy. Even going to a restaurant or finding a location is just so easy to do. But anyway, thank you, Michael. We'll have to have you definitely back. You are part of the Generations Radio team, and Scott, we're definitely going to have you on our Generations Radio team. But I did want to mention, like I said, August 23rd is a Saturday. It's a Saturday before UH football, by the way. That's where we got lucky because every time we do an event on UH football day, nobody shows up. And I don't like to show up either because I'm a big UH football fan too. But August 23rd is a Saturday at the Alamar Hotel. We'll probably have you two be one of our speakers. The governor, I know, is going to be coming down this year to speak. And I also want to mention that the April-May issue coming out the first week of April is going to be Barbara Kim Stanton, the executive director of the Hawaii AARP chapter here. And they're really going to talk about aging in place, and there's a lot of different things going on. And one of the things you're going to see in April is Honolulu is going to be one of the age-friendly cities. Mayor Caldwell has committed resources and time to make Honolulu, over time, of course, a age-friendly city. He started talking about some road work and some bicycle lanes around the city, but I don't know about that. We'll see that. But I did want to thank Barbara. You'll see that cover coming out pretty soon. So, Scott, what's your article coming out? Do you remember?
The next article is going to be about just how clever and intelligent and the tools that the criminals use to prey on the elderly.
Okay. And we'll be talking about ARP's initiative for aging in place, but also really, I think they're really focusing on caregiving and all these issues and above. But I did want to mention, with the elder abuse, we all need to pitch in. We all need to watch our families. I know our family, we had a friend of ours whose mother was scammed for $2,500 7 times.
Yes.
Lost over $20,000, and she was a retired principal. So, for those of you listening today, or you can go on our website, generations808.com, and click on the Generations Radio tab, but it would have been on top right, to listen to the show down the road. But we really need to, whether it's today, next month, next year, we need to all chip in to stop the elder abuse, and we hopefully will pass that bill coming, if not this year, next year, Scott.
Yes.
About criminal time in prison for financial abuse.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. As I always leave, and I always tell people, live well, everybody. Aloha, and we'll see you next week.